How do those pros do it? What are their secrets? Welcome to Pod Talk Today, a podcast about podcasting with the podcasters you love. I'm your host, Kim Hayden. All righty. I am super excited. Miss Jenny, come on in, my dear. Awesome. I'm so glad you're here.
Hi, Kim. It's been a while.
It has been a while. Okay. First, I want you to tell everybody who you are and what do you do?
Yes, thanks for asking. My name is Jenny Woon. I'm currently in Vancouver, British Columbia, and I am a real estate agent. So I've been an agent for 21 years and recently opened up a real estate brokerage as broker owner and managing broker. And like you, Kim, I'm here to empower women and lead many agents to success in many forms, offering business strategies, ways to grow their business, way to grow their income, have work-life balance, if that is even exists. And for me, I have started a podcast called In the House Podcast, and we just celebrated our 3 years this summer. And you were a guest on our show. It was like our 27th, 28th episode. So it was very early on that we came across you and your profile and had you on as a guest. Now I'm on yours.
I know. A lot of people question, what is the ROI of a podcast? And you're okay. So either A, she must not be a very good real estate agent, even after 21 years and owning a brokerage, or B, like, why is she doing a podcast? So I would love for you to give me a little bit more meat around how you came to the decision to host a podcast, why you host that podcast, what is the connection point back to your primary business? Because here, folks, the reality is Jenny is very prolific in the real estate space. So why would you do something? How long does it take you to do a podcast, start to finish? Give us a little bit of meat around that, because a lot of people, there's all this stuff around there that says, oh, I could do a podcast and just turn on your mic and start a podcast, you'll be Joe Rogan tomorrow. But I'd love for you so I'd love for you to break this down a bit and how it applies back to what you're doing and what who your listeners are. That would be really cool. Who are your listeners and how does that apply back?
Yeah, no, these are all great questions. And I want to start off with the ROI because it's really interesting that that's not the reason why I started this. It was actually first a COVID project. And the COVID project just came about of asking myself, at that point, it was around like March 2020, and we could not do any showings. And I said, well, it came out of boredom, this COVID project. And it also came back to, why are we doing this? What is our life mission and our purpose? And the thought of doing another sales, another purchase to help a client wasn't as exciting. And I think with the pandemic happening, it really made me sit and reflect on exactly what I want to do with my life. And so I teed up with a co-host. Her name's Tony Singh. She's at another real estate brokerage that she owns with her family. And I loved how she presented on video on social media. And I said to her, hey, let's try to do a podcast together. So we, within 1 week, we did a test run on Zoom, recorded it, put it out to our family members and our friends to see if they liked the synergy that we had on Zoom. And our first kind of rundown show was how we felt about wealth and what wealth meant to us as real estate agents. And it wasn't really particularly about money. It was just about how we were able to use the resources that we had to enrich our life. So the topic was a hit. And then from within that week, we took our headshots, did our branding, and then released our first episode within 3 months. We actually are targeted and helping real estate professionals of all genders, offering them business tip strategies. We're offering them how to unlock and build their client database, how to stand out from competition, learning from other thought leaders and professionals in the industry like yourself, having them on as guests so that we promote the visibility of female leaders in real estate. And also just like any like partners that we would typically be affiliated with during our transactions, and having them on as just creating connections within the community. So our listeners are typically real estate professionals, but we've had lots of mortgage brokers on, interior designers listening to our show. And honestly, the return on investment has come in many different ways that I didn't expect. So we were just really doing it for the passion of like helping other agents. And the funny thing is it's come to many other projects that we did not expect. So one of them being moderators at conferences. I've been able to secure jobs as a voiceover, speaking for like books and commercial deals. And as well, I think organically, it actually allows agents to, I can give advice to agents by on the podcast, and they listen to my podcast, and then they trust, and I have credibility already organically built with them, and they join my brokerage because they listen to me on the podcast. So it has come in many ways, in many ways in where I felt like this just came from just wanting to help people.
I, you know, it's I absolutely 110% agree on everything you said. I think people who um, say, "Well, I don't understand the ROI or I don't see the ROI." The reality is I think those people are somewhat limited in their creativity. So truth is that their business may be limited, you
Mhm.
know, and I think that as a true hardcore entrepreneur like yourself, because you don't go into real estate because there's a steady base. I meet a lot of people in sales. I don't start a sales job unless there's a base salary. And the reality is that, hey, I guess I'm not the smartest, sharpest tack in the box because I've worked my entire life without a base, without any safety net. But I think that allows you to be far more creative. I think it
Absolutely.
really does. Um, so so we've talked about what people can expect from it, and how this has really positioned you um, in an authoritative position as an expert, as a visible what I would call, I hate the word influencer, but yeah, let's use it, a local influencer, right? Um, what are some of the things that you would love to be able to do now that you have this celebrity kind of standing? So you've created this micro celebrity status through podcasting by sharing what you already know and having conversations with people that are like-minded. What's something that you kind of in 2024 you'd love to be able to either a give back through,
Mhm.
or something that you kind of have your eye on?
Mm. So many things. I would love to be able to promote like my offerings and my coaching programs. I've like now gone into this managing broker role where I'm mentoring a lot of the agents, and it just organically came with the role. Uh, but I've been able to get clients outside of the brokerage from adding the credibility and leadership and authority. And so that's one. I would also say just using the platform to challenge the status quo, like to challenge gender bias in the real estate space, commercial and residential. And I think, we can promote that visibility of women in our workplace, how challenging it is when you're trying uh, to balance family life and work life, and on top of that, be a wife, be a sister, to be a best friend to somebody. And I think those type of discussions are often felt in every single person, but not often
Yeah.
talked about in our industry, especially when our industry has a lot of just go grind hustle type of culture, and not everyone talks about how difficult it is to balance life, and how it mentally it's an emotional roller coaster for many.
That whole balance thing, right? It's like life is a tightrope, eh?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't like to use the word balance because there is no such thing. It's just more time management, or
Yeah.
setting your priorities straight, and allowing yourself, personal time, allowing some self care, but also not trying to socially compare yourself to others who are maybe have a nanny, or maybe who don't have kids. So it's a very tough industry because it's all about recognition and achievements and the number of transactions and volume of deals that you're doing. So it's really just like holding space for, you're doing the best you can, you're putting in all your best foot forward, and really just doing what you can as a human being.
Absolutely. I mean, if we all just show up to the best of our ability, imagine how amazing this world would be.
Absolutely, yes.
Walk me through your timeline for a podcast. What on average from intake to release is your time? How long do you actually invest in that podcast? How many
Sure.
hours?
Yeah. So I would probably say no more than 2 hours. Okay. And and the
Does
way
that include your editing and posting and everything?
we hire all that out. So,
Okay.
yeah, so I would say for Tony and I, as the host, no more than 45 to 50 minutes interviewing a guest, or doing a podcast recording. And then from there, we're like, beforehand, we're thinking of the topic. So we're preparing that maybe about 15-20 minutes, and then have the content ready to go. We're recording. And then we we listen to the edited version, like the draft version. And then we have a team that does all the editing and the producing, that puts it out on all the platforms. We also have a team that puts it out on social media and writes all the captions. So, but for us, for each episode, we're no more than 2 hours. The way we record it is we select one day out of the month. So typically spending between 9:30 a.m. all the way to 2:30 p.m., and we can record about 4 to 5 episodes between that time. So we're picking one day a month. We're recording 4 to 5 episodes, and that's with and without guests. And then we release it about Wednesday every month, or Wednesday every week.
Wednesday
So
per week.
Wednesday every week. So that way we have 1 month worth of content to release before we meet up again.
Excellent. So batch recording just to streamline the whole program. That's awesome. What's the biggest aha or, oh, I wish I would have known? What was the kind of the biggest revelation in building out a podcast and getting it to market?
Hmm. I would say the most important thing is the consistency. I would say a lot of podcasts don't last because you're constantly trying to overthink, like, the topics that you need to talk about. Um, we come up with topics based on things that we've encountered in our transactions, or the day-to-day things that we're trying to manage in our life. And so it comes really easy to us on what we need to discuss, or even what our audience are looking for. And when they come up to us, it's really exciting to know that they've either hired the services provided by the guests that come on the show, or they are using some of the tips in their own real estate practice. But for I think the biggest thing is, you have to have the mindset that you're not trying to please like one particular person. You're just be yourself, be authentic. And the biggest lesson that I've learned is, I've been a lot more open and a lot more vulnerable, and that makes a huge, huge difference in the connection with your followers and your community.
It is interesting because podcasting is almost like it's radio on demand. That's really what podcasting is radio on demand. And the beauty of this entire on demand world is we get to hear from real people like ourselves. And this is not about having I jokingly poked fun at Joe Rogan earlier, but it's not about having a Joe Rogan sized audience. What I think we're finding now is that you'd rather have a small and mighty audience, like a highly engaged audience. And that's one of the things that I've noticed about you is that you have managed through your brand and your approachability that when you post something or when you send something out, you are getting that engagement. And that's anybody who's in the real estate world or in the sales world will understand there's a difference between a cold lead that closes at a 0.054% and a warm lead that closes at a 5%.
Mhm.
So when you're really looking at these numbers, I'd rather have people who are warm to me. And I think that's why real estate, or not just your podcasting has been so great within the real estate space, because real estate can be a very disconnected space, right?
Yes.
We all
Yes.
work in these silos. What's your favorite tip or tool? If somebody is looking at starting a podcast, what is either a tool that you use that you think every podcaster should use, or a tip that you think people should really consider or look at?
Mm. I would say AI has really helped um, in terms of um, in terms of when you get the transcript from the video or the audio, what that transcript is, and then they'll actually be able to um, summarize it into captions, Instagram captions for you. So I would say that would probably be the easiest. I would also want to mention that our producer does a lot of the work. So what we'll do is we'll go physically into his studio, which is located in Vancouver, and he has all the equipment, all the sound equipment, the video equipment, the editing, and so trying to do it myself, I would probably say wouldn't have the patience, and I have better things to do and trying to connect personally with people. When people come up to me, they're like, wow, the quality sounds really good. How do you manage to include podcasts into your life? And I give all the thanks to the back end crew, the behind the scenes crew who do a lot of the work. I'm just there to show up and to give information for, like I said, 2 hours in that episode. But a lot of time goes into the editing and into organizing the right timing and the equipment and technology for our guests as well. So I would say if I can advise anyone to who wants to start a podcast, if you're not a good techie person, is to hand all that off to a professional.
I get it. I get it. It takes a long time to I guess learn the curve. Learn the curve.
Mhm.
Especially when so many of our experts are, even though you only look 25, the reality is if you've been doing real estate for 21 years, we know you're not 25. Um, but especially for those of us that are over 40 with all of the expertise, like there are some things. How do you get to Carnegie Hall, right?
Mhm.
Practice. And that's really what we need to be sharing forward so that the students of life today can learn from our challenges or can learn from our successes and help accelerate them. I think mentorship, coaching, sponsorship, especially in a world where 30% of the workforce will never go back in office, you need to level up. And finding people like Jenny is absolutely one of the ways to level up. Real quick, where can we listen to In the House? And like what platforms is that on? Do you have a YouTube channel? Is like what are the I have your I love this Jenny1.ceo. I love that. Where else can we find you aside from Instagram?
Yes, we're also that is my coaching handle. We have an In the House podcast website, which is in the house podcast.ca. We're on Instagram as well. We have, just look us up, In the House Podcast, on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and as well Amazon.
Awesome. I'm going to put that In the House right
Yes.
there, In the House podcast.ca. Do I have that correct there?
You do, yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Jenny is easy to find if you're looking to buy or sell in. This is yet one of the other benefits too, right? Or if you're looking to join an amazing team, it's Jenny1Realtor at gmail.com. Look her up. Take some time. At 3 years, that's a lot of podcasts. How many numbers are you up to now?
Yeah, good. I think about 158, I want to say.
158. That is amazing. And you've done this all with a BFF and having some fun and all the side benefits. So True ROI has proven your authority, grown your community curiosity around who is Jenny and how can Jenny be part of what we're doing, has launched a coaching strategy and grown that into an entire, so I would say that alone is a great ROI right there.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it's come back so many times. And again, this is more of a passion project, and it just has come back in twofolds. And seeing people come up to us and thanking us for putting out these information, which no one would ever share. Back then, like, no one would share information, right? So this is all out in the open. This is like all the things that we've gone through, all the hardships and all the adversities and the challenges in this business.
that's amazing. All right, Jenny, I can't thank you enough for sharing because I'm keeping these to about 22 minutes in and out because this hour has 22 minutes, Sorry. That's my total play. If you're not Canadian, there's a show. This hour has 22 minutes. It's actually how I learned about Canada when I first moved here. So you got to love media. You got to love media. You can learn anything, anywhere. We will have all of Jenny's contact information, all of her show information, everything will be in the show notes. And until next time, Jenny, thank you so much for joining us here at Pod Talk today. I'm your host, Kim Hayden. Check us out over at podtalktoday.com.